Well, the practice week is over. 49ers Rams week 18 is almost upon us. I'm still in the Bay Area. I fly down to LA tomorrow. I'm sure a lot of you guys are going to be driving down, flying down. Those of you who are driving, let me guess, you're stopping in Kettleman City. You're going to get in and out about halfway. That is a world-class In-N-Out burger. That one close to my heart. I'm from the Central Valley. So whenever we went to the Central Coast from that Visalia, Fresno area, you'd take Highway 41, right where it intersects with Interstate 5 is right where you could stop for In-N-Out Burger. And that happens to be the halfway point for San Francisco, Bay Area to LA. So I'm sure a lot of 49ers fans will be taking over the Kettleman City In-N-Out for 49ers Rams. It's almost upon us. It's week 18 for everything, right? As far as the 49ers and Rams know, they need to win this game to achieve their goals. For the Niners, this is about a playoff spot. So they can clinch a playoff berth if they win on Sunday afternoon. For the Rams, this is about winning the NFC West. They can clinch the NFC West with a win on Sunday afternoon. Now, technically, there are other potential ways for these two teams to get to where they want to be at the end of Sunday. The 49ers, for example, can have the Saints lose to the Falcons, and the Rams can have the Cardinals lose to the Seahawks. But the problem is that all of those games start at 1:25 p.m. And if you take a peek at the scoreboard during this game at the wrong time, you're going to get flattened into the turf. That's how physical I expect this game to be. That's how focused I expect the 49ers and Rams to be. So for all intents and purposes, this is a must-win game for both teams, because in the sport of football, you can't be looking down on your iPhone, to see what the Seahawks score is or to see what the Saints score is. You have to beat the team in front of you. You have to be fully invested in the football at hand. So I expect this to be another playoff caliber game for the 49ers and the Rams. And oh boy, we have so much to talk about in this final preview. First of all, what's it going to be at quarterback for the 49ers? Trey, Jimmy, both? I think that Kyle Shanahan is playing a little bit of a Jedi mind trick right now. Remember Obi-Wan Kenobi in A New Hope, episode 4? These are not the droids you're looking for. Well, these are not the QBs that you're looking for. I think Kyle Shanahan is trying to sneak both quarterbacks past the Rams, and then he might end up playing both of these guys in the game. Let's just look at the most recent update. This is from my game preview today, so go ahead and check that out on The Athletic. 10 observations from 49ers and Rams, and I will read you Kyle Shanahan's quote when asked about the quarterback situation. "I know what we're doing. I just don't feel like telling you right now." So Shanahan insists now, this is a change after earlier in the week, that he knows who he's going with at the quarterback position. Now, that set off a ton of speculation, obviously, on social media. Some people think that because Kyle Shanahan knows for sure on Friday, or at least he says that he knows for sure, that must mean that he's going to go with Trey Lance because Jimmy Garoppolo is the one that's fighting through the injury. However, Trey Lance let it slip when he spoke on Friday afternoon that this is a situation where he's been splitting first-team reps with Jimmy Garoppolo. So that seems counterproductive to me. If Shanahan were sure that Lance was going to be the starter on Friday, right now, obviously well before the game, why did he waste time giving Jimmy Garoppolo reps during practice? You would think that Trey Lance, as a rookie, would need as much practice as he could get entering this game. So to me, I think Kyle Shanahan is just trying to trick everybody. He's just trying to get everybody to overthink this right now, especially the Rams, which is why I call it a Jedi mind trick. But I think that if you look at actions and not words, and you believe Trey Lance at face value, that he and Jimmy Garoppolo did indeed split reps, then I believe that it's still possible that both of these quarterbacks play in some capacity. And that could come in any number of forms. It could come with Garoppolo starting, but on a very short leash because he is hurt. So Shanahan's going to have to be careful. Obviously, if Garoppolo and that thumb don't respond well to actual in-game situations where Aaron Donald can hit you, where the pass rush is converging on you, where the throws have to fit into a tighter window in practice, well, then he's got Trey Lance ready to go right away. It can mean an aggressive QB split based on down and distance. That's something the 49ers obviously practiced in the preseason, and Kyle Shanahan thought about doing at points of the season, but ultimately abandoned. Maybe the 49ers return to that, or maybe he'll have a scripted drive for both Lance and for Jimmy Garoppolo, and then he'll just go with the hot hand from there. The point is here that Kyle Shanahan obviously trusts Jimmy Garoppolo's veteran presence, and he would like to have that healthy for a game this big, especially since Garoppolo has seen so much success before against a very good Rams defense. But Garoppolo's not 100%, and Garoppolo won't be 100% for at least 4 weeks. So Shanahan is trying to leverage and utilize the fact that he's invested so much in this quarterback room with Trey Lance on top of Garoppolo. He's trying to utilize the fact that he has both of them to glean an advantage, at least in the preparation aspect of this game. If anything else, I mean, maybe Shanahan decided on Wednesday that he would play and start Jimmy Garoppolo and have him play 100% of the snaps, even if his arm was going to fall off. Maybe Kyle Shanahan is so committed to having a veteran start that he's been decided since Wednesday. He just hasn't told anybody. Even if that's the case, and I'm not saying it is, even if that's the case, it makes sense for competitive advantage reasons for Kyle Shanahan to withhold information from the Rams. You make them think that both of these guys are playing, and that means they have to prepare for both of these guys, or at least you give them the thought that it's very possible that both of these guys play. So that's what option power is all about, guys, and that's what the 49ers have worked to cultivate all season long, and that's why I wrote this article that you could see up on The Athletic, and it even has option power in the headline. The 49ers have been building QB option power, and now they're using it. You can either use it in the week leading up to the game through mind games against the opposition to make them, spend and waste valuable preparation time on the wrong quarterback or the wrong quarterbacks, the wrong combination, right? Because the Rams could be preparing for something completely different than what the 49ers will do. There's so many different combinations of strategies that the 49ers can use since Lance and Garoppolo have such markedly different skill sets. Or you can use the option power actually in the game, or you could use it in both. You could use it for preparation advantages, and you could use it in-game advantages. The point is that you want to hold on to the option power for as long as possible, and this is something that the 49ers have cultivated all year long. I'm not just talking about the season. I'm going back to March. Remember when the 49ers first traded up to number 3 so they could eventually draft Trey Lance? Well, Kyle Shanahan was at Justin Fields' pro day. On the way home from Justin Fields' pro day, on the private jet from Columbus, Ohio to San Jose, Kyle Shanahan was already drawing up plays for Trey Lance. Now, retrospect tells us that Shanahan was planning to keep Jimmy Garoppolo at that time. So he was already drawing up plays for Trey Lance to pair with Jimmy Garoppolo in March. And then you go into, what was it? August is when training camp was? July or August? I don't know what date it happened. I think it was in early August. Kyle Shanahan said this, and this is a quote from my article that I'm going to read to you guys because I just thought that it's fascinating to circle back to now. Right here. Every receiver who makes our team is going to play this year. I know it's different, but when you have a quarterbacks with different skill sets and stuff, it makes it easier for me to look at it similar to other positions. And that's why I don't think that playing 2 quarterbacks is a problem on our team. And it's not a problem in there when we're discussing what we want to do. It depends who we're playing, what the situation is, what fronts. I don't know when that's going to happen. This is important right here, by the way. It could happen today. It could happen week 1. It could happen not until the end of the year. But I do think we have a guy who has a skill set to come in and do some different things. And that's what we've been here working with him at. And we'll continue to do that. And we'll do that when we think it helps us. That last line also big. Let me reread that correctly. And we'll do that when we think it helps us. Back here, maybe not until the end of the year. It's always been a possibility in Kyle Shanahan's mind if this was something that could help the 49ers to mix and match and pair Trey Lance with Jimmy Garoppolo. For obvious reasons that have been well documented, Kyle Shanahan abandoned that initial plan, at least for a stretch of this regular season. Injuries were at fault, right? Garoppolo and Lance were never healthy simultaneously for about a 4 or 5 week stretch there in the middle of the season, as Garoppolo was either recovering from his calf injury or Lance was recovering from his knee injury. And then all this, we obviously have the mystery of Lance's finger injury, which might have lingered a little bit longer than anyone initially suspected. Then once they were finally both healthy at the same time, Garoppolo had hit a rhythm. We talked about it a lot on the show. Garoppolo was playing really well throughout that stretch of the season where the 49ers got back into playoff contention. So it didn't really make sense to force feed Lance into the game, because the area where Lance had the biggest comparative advantage, which was the red zone, is where the 49ers were actually excelling the most under Jimmy Garoppolo. They still have the number one red zone touchdown rate in the league. So just, by the very nature of how these kind of things sometimes work, Lance took a back seat on the bench. Garoppolo had all the reps. But as we've learned, and as I've preached all season on this show, football seasons are like long novels, and every week is a chapter. And with each chapter, the story can turn. And the Tennessee chapter of this story made and caused a lot of changes in the 49ers' overarching larger novel. Because now Garoppolo, who had been obviously the preferred veteran quarterback throughout this whole thing, was hurt. And he is hurt. And he will be hurt for the next several weeks. And he's probably still very hurt during this most important week, when the 49ers have to win, in all likelihood, to punch their ticket to the next round, to the playoffs. So with Garoppolo being compromised by injury, and with Lance having progressed so much, I dedicated a whole video to how much Trey Lance progressed in between weeks 5 and week 17. We're now at a spot, and we're at a juncture where the variables are so much different than they were earlier in the season. You have Lance as a viable option from the pocket, at least to some degree. Now, I get it. He played Houston last week, and Houston is a lot worse than LA. So a quicker release is going to be needed. Lance is going to be needed to perform better in the short game. He can't miss Kyle Juszczyk in the short game this week. He can't miss George Kittle in the short game this week. Last week, he got away with missing George Kittle in the flat because he fired a bullet to Trent Sherfield. I'm not so sure that play is going to be open to the 49ers against the much better Rams defense. So Lance still has a lot of stuff he needs to get better at, but he's already shown some comfort in the pocket that he didn't show in week 5. So Trey Lance has made strides, and he could definitely be a viable contributor for the 49ers in a game like this. And obviously, we know what Jimmy Garoppolo can do when he's healthy. And when he's healthy, he's able to pepper that short part of the field with his quick release to beat a fast Rams pass rush. Just take a look at the differing skill sets right here. Maybe I could make this bigger if I open it on Twitter. I sure can. We could see these side by side. We're going to open Jimmy Garoppolo's first. This is the spray chart for Jimmy Garoppolo against the Rams in week 10. These are short passes, and this is by design. Garoppolo got rid of the ball in 2.3 seconds. That was the average time from snap to release. It's one of the fastest times in the NFL this year. So credit to Garoppolo for getting the ball out quickly, because the 49ers offensive line was overmatched in pass protection against the Rams defensive front that featured Aaron Donald, Von Miller, and Leonard Floyd. We always talk about Daniel Brunskill doing well against Aaron Donald. Well, one reason that Daniel Brunskill does well against Aaron Donald is because the 49ers have consistently executed a get the ball out quick game plan whenever those two have faced off. Even though Aaron Donald is Superman, he's not going to be able to get to Jimmy Garoppolo if Garoppolo is consistently getting the ball out in 2.3 seconds. And that's what happened in the 49ers game against the Rams back in week 10. Look at this spray chart. Quick throws, neutralizing the Rams pass rush, setting up yards after the catch. This one in the middle, that's the 4th and 6 touchdown to Deebo Samuel. This one downfield, that's the goal line touchdown to George Kittle. That was in the red zone for the 49ers to open the game. The one to Samuel was a beautiful play. Garoppolo threw to an open spot. Samuel cut through, broke, and really he was thrown open by Jimmy Garoppolo on the play. So it was a masterful execution of the short game for Jimmy Garoppolo. He went 15-19, and what that did is it allowed the 49ers to convert enough 3rd and 4th downs to run the ball 44 times. They ran at volume. They executed their formula. They needed their quarterback to do that. They needed their running back to do that. It was a team win. It was a great team win for the 49ers. All right, now we're going to go to Trey Lance's spray chart against the Texans. Again, back to Garoppolo's. Look how clustered up that is. That's the quick game. Now we go to Lance's against the Texans. Completely different, right? The whole field is stretched. Trey Lance has a big arm. Trey Lance has real mobility. Trey Lance brings a different dimension to this 49ers offense, but Trey Lance is not as proficient as we've seen in the quick game. He did complete most of his passes, but this chart doesn't tell the whole story. We also know that this one pass, this little green dot out here to Kyle Juszczyk at the start of the game, that was a low throw that prevented yards after the catch, eventually led to a punt. We know that he missed George Kittle on another short throw. It's the short throws that Trey Lance is going to have to make to beat the Rams, because the Rams are going to have a better pass rush than the Texans. But what Trey Lance did here is so impressive because it adds another dimension to the 49ers offense. In fact, if you combine both of these spray charts, Garoppolo's here and Lance's right here, you have, I think, a complete arsenal between both quarterbacks. Now, the trick is, how do you mix and match both of them if that's what Kyle Shanahan ultimately decides to do? He says, okay, Jimmy Garoppolo is limited. I don't believe in his ability to play a full game with his thumb in the condition that it is. I don't want to expose him to the Rams pass rush for the full game, or I need more explosiveness because his throwing ability is just not where it normally is. If Kyle Shanahan says that, then obviously he wants to combine this, what Trey Lance is doing, with this, what he thinks Jimmy Garoppolo can do. This is the problem that Kyle Shanahan ran into early in the season. He said that it was difficult to mix and match the quarterbacks play calling wise to be able to set up what he needed from the defense to be able to get this longer game, this field stretching game from Trey Lance, to make it work with Jimmy Garoppolo's, let's set up yards after the catch style offense. So maybe Kyle Shanahan has an idea for how to marry the two together that he's been saving, right? Some people have theorized that he's been saving it for a game that really matters, for playoff style football. Well, this is game 7 of the World Series. All hands need to be on deck in this game. So if Kyle Shanahan did have a grand plan to marry Lance and Garoppolo's game styles together, now would be the chance to do it. But the overarching point here is that we truly do not know what the 49ers are going to do. And that's how Kyle Shanahan wants it. He wants this to be a Jedi mind trick. He wants to mess with the Rams. He doesn't care if he messes with us or if he messes with the fans. He wants to say these are not the droids you're looking for, and we'll find out how strong with the Force Kyle Shanahan is come Sunday. You have to hold back no tricks when everything is on the line, as is the case in this game. All right, guys, let's go on to some of the other keys right here. Can the 49ers again execute the formula to neutralize LA's pass rush? Well, this ties into what we were talking about, right? It's extremely, extremely important for the 49ers to get rid of the ball quickly to shield an offensive line that is just not as good in pass protection as the Los Angeles Rams are rushing the passer. Again, we could talk all day long until we're blue in the face about the success that Daniel Brunskill has had against Aaron Donald. And that success is admirable. But that success doesn't happen if the 49ers don't execute their formula. And here's their formula. It is converting third downs, or, just moving the chains on any down in general, but normally you're going to get the third down because this is a good defense. It's not turning over the football, and it's winning in run blocks. The 49ers were working on combination run blocks in practice this week with Kyle Juszczyk and Jeff Wilson coming over to work with the tight ends. And I thought it was fascinating because you had Juszczyk and Wilson move in motion and then work with Kittle on a double team, or work with Charlie Werner on a double team coming off the motion for the outside zone to work on the run game. And it was fascinating to me because these are details that the 49ers are going to have to be on point with in this game, because the formula is to convert those third downs and give yourself opportunity to run at volume. And then you better seize that opportunity to run at volume. And the 49ers have. Over their 5-game win streak against the Rams, they've averaged 35.6 runs per game. Against the Rams in Week 10, the 49ers ran the football 44 times. They possessed the football for 39 minutes. The Rams only had it for 21. That is a ball-hogging winning formula that the 49ers have generally executed. And because of that, the Rams haven't beaten the 49ers in 1,104 days. Think about that. We all talked about, the 49ers haven't won at Levi Stadium in 500 days or whatever it was. The Rams haven't beaten the 49ers in over 1,100 days. By the time we hit this game kickoff on Sunday, the Rams won't have beaten the 49ers for 1,106 days. And it's because of the formula that I'm talking about. It's because the 49ers have been able to more or less neutralize LA's pass rush. Now, points of this 5-game win streak for the 49ers, they haven't done the great job neutralizing LA's pass rush. I think about week 16 of the 2019 season. 49ers didn't run the ball all too well in that game. They were behind for a lot of that game. The Rams actually, with bootlegs for Jared Goff that caught the 49ers up by surprise, controlled a lot of the flow in that week. And the 49ers, they were struggling because the Rams were able to tee off on Jimmy Garoppolo with their pass rush, with the 49ers not controlling the flow. That's when Jimmy Garoppolo converted those 2 3rd and 16s, one to Kendrick Bourne, one to Emmanuel Sanders. Both of those plays featured George Kittle back in max protect, in pass protection. So the 49ers had to dig deep and find a way in that game in week 16 of the 2019 season. And it's very possible that this doesn't go according to the formula like week 10 did. This might not be as clean and probably won't be as clean like week 10 was. And the 49ers are going to have to just find a way to win, get gritty, find a way to win. So you could either execute the formula, but the Rams are a good football team. And, I wrote this in the preview of the game. Here's the DVOA profile for the Rams. That's a whole hell of a lot of blue. And, blue is good and red is bad. You saw the Titans and Texans. There was more red than you'd be comfortable with if you're a fan of one of those two teams. Well, for the Rams, it's a whole lot of blue. That means that there's no real discernible weakness on this football team. And it's just a matter of going out there and executing better than them. And the 49ers are capable. I mean, they have a lot of blue in their ranking too. But the 49ers have to be clean on special teams in this game. And they have to execute across the board. And it's they have against the Rams over those past 5 games, but it's certainly not something that is guaranteed. I'm going to take a quick look at the comment section, just a little peek. You guys are talking a lot. I'm going to answer some questions after, but I have a whole kind of bullet list of points that I like to get through before we actually get to the point of answering questions. So the viewership is growing here. And then, toward the end, I'm going to open it up for questions. But I want to keep this as a nice, concise preview, obviously making it longer than normal because this game is such a big deal. But we're going to move on to the next point. Matthew Stafford has been sliding lately, and the 49ers must keep it that way. Stafford, this is fascinating right here. Why don't we go down and check this out? Ben Baldwin put this up, and I got a kick out of this. Okay, this is quarterback expected points added per play, EPA, for the Rams under Sean McVay. And this only includes Stafford and Jared Goff. Stafford is the dark blue line. Goff is the other lines. Remember that Goff's best seasons were 2017 and 2018 before he fell off. He started both of those seasons hot, right? He was up here in 27. He even started 2020 well, but in general, he was up here in 27 and 2018. And then he kind of just petered out. And the EPA, especially around the midway point of the season, for whatever reason, moved toward mediocrity. Well, look where Stafford ended up this season. Exactly where Jared Goff ended up in 2017 and 2018. So you're wondering, is this the same quarterback? What the hell is going on, right? Stafford was supposed to be this huge upgrade, but he struggled for the Rams. 6 interceptions over the past 3 weeks. They've had to claw out victories after Stafford has kind of thrown up over himself early in these games. You remember against Minnesota, the 3 interceptions, didn't look great against Baltimore early on. Now, to Stafford's credit, he's made some big plays down the stretch to dig himself out of the hole. But the point is that Jared Goff was also giving other opponents gifts. And now Stafford has been doing that down the stretch. So this is something with Sean McVay. The common denominator here is McVay. And defenses have been able to be opportunistic against these guys as seasons have gone along. So the 49ers must keep it that way. Now, obviously, the 49ers have some COVID list issues in the secondary. Ambry Thomas came off of the COVID list on Friday, and the 49ers hope that the other defensive backs on their roster can also make it off on Saturday. There's 4 other defensive backs on the COVID list. And if you want to take a quick look at the roster, I have it right here. In fact, I will zoom in for you so you could see here. But right now in that defensive backfield, which is right here when I highlight it, you have Josh Norman, Ambry Thomas, Emmanuel Mosley, Jaquaski Tart, maybe Tolano Ufanga, and Gerard Wilson. There's a chance that the 49ers start getting their COVID list guys back, and that would be right here. Jimmy Ward, Diamador Lenore, K'Wan Williams, and Dante Johnson. And the 49ers seem optimistic about this. As you notice right now, there is no nickel back. That's an issue. So you need K'Wan or Jimmy Ward back. If you had to pick between K'Wan and Jimmy Ward, I'd say Jimmy Ward, because Jimmy Ward is the guy who covers Cooper Kupp and has done such a good job over the past 5 meetings. Jimmy Ward is just such an adaptable presence, and he has been maybe the defensive MVP for the 49ers whenever they've played the Rams. So that's huge. The 49ers need Jimmy Ward back. They think they're going to get him back on Saturday off the COVID list. So that's a huge piece of news that everybody should be waiting for with bated breath on Saturday. Of course, it would help to have even K'Wan Williams back, because Kupp lines up everywhere. Ward had 2 interceptions that really set the tone of the game back in week 10. We know that K'Wan Williams is a slot specialist, so maybe he can pick Kupp up when there is a slot specialist situation, but you could have Jimmy Ward come down and man up Cooper Kupp in other situations. But the point is that Cooper Kupp is trying to break an NFL record. Calvin Johnson's NFL record for single season receiving yards, and he needs about 138 receiving yards to break this record against the 49ers. Now, granted, we have this extra game now. It's 17 games instead of 16, so I think the NFL won't put an asterisk by it, but I think you have to put a little bit of an asterisk by that. I think Cooper Kupp even admitted that this week. But it's interesting to me that the quarterback throwing to Calvin Johnson when he set that record in 2012 with Matthew Stafford, quarterback throwing to Cooper Kupp when he might break this record in 2021 is Matthew Stafford. Point is that Stafford can get you some yards, and he can also beat you if you're not covering well on the back end. So the 49ers need to cover Cooper Kupp. And I'll make another video on this tomorrow, depending on who comes off the COVID list, because what the 49ers secondary does is going to be extremely important. And they're going to need some help from their pass rush. The surging 49ers pass rush is going to have to face the final boss. In a video game, you go from level to level, and the opponent, the adversary gets harder and harder. Well, this is the final boss. The Rams rank number 1 in the NFL in pass block win rate. The 49ers have feasted against some sketchy offensive lines in the past few weeks, but the 49ers have generally gotten the job done up front. In fact, this is my defensive line article. This is the 49ers run defense. It's led the league since their bye week early in the season. These are the 49ers run stop win rate leaders. 1 and 3 in the whole league are Jones and Armstead, and that's earned the 49ers the right to rush the passer. So Arden Key has surged, and as you can see here, all of Nick Bosa's supporting cast members have gone from bottom barrel to very good over the past 4 weeks. So the 49ers are playing good football when it comes to pass rushing, especially Arden Key, who got some high praise from Nick Bosa this week. But they're going to have to take it to the Rams now, and this is going to be a whole different challenge than Houston or even Tennessee, who are really beaten up front, right? This is going to be where the 49ers earn their money. So Arden Key is playing on a 1-year deal. If Arden Key shows up in this game, he's going to make some money. Jordan Willis, what do the 49ers have from him as a situational pass rusher? They're going to find out a whole hell of a lot against the Rams. We already know where Nick Bosa is. He's at 15 sacks. He's getting double teamed all the time. It's up to his teammates if the Rams choose similar protection strategies. They go max protect. If they try to neutralize Bosa, it's up to Bosa's teammates to get after the quarterback and get this job done, because that's what's going to help the 49ers secondary potentially the most. And so much of this comes down to physical toughness. And that's, George Kittle had some unbelievable quotes in this game. This was on Thursday, just, getting everybody ready for this football game. If you want to, be ready to run through a brick wall, just listen to George Kittle talk for a little bit. But he talked about how the 49ers have fought through adversity and lost games in crazy ways, won games in crazy ways, looked at themselves in the mirror. He thinks that this team is ready to go through the weirdness that it now faces and win this game, because they have been through the fire this year to get to the 9-7 record that they're at right now. But what really stood out to me is the physicality. Kittle was asked about why you guys kick that Rams ass so often. I mean, it's happened 4 or 5 times in a row now, even though the Rams have been favored 4 of those 5 games. And Kittle said, whenever we play them, we try to play as physically as we possibly can. That's what we're really good at. I think we're one of the most physical offenses in football coming off the line of scrimmage. When our wide receivers decide to come out and hit safeties in the mouth on a run play, it kind of changes the game. You either have to match that intensity or you have to get out of the way. And sometimes guys get out of the way. I think it's going to definitely show up this Sunday in who's the more physical team. It's going to be a body bag game. Now you could see where I got the headline, body bag game. But, I mean, Kittle is basically saying that the 49ers have been tougher than the Rams. They've been more physical than the Rams. And the 49ers have the guy who likes to knock other defenders' mouthpieces out. That's Deebo Samuel. The 49ers have the guy with the Joker tattoo on his forearm. That's George Kittle. He goes into a maniacal mental state when he's out on the field. 49ers tight ends coach John Embry, back when Kittle was a rookie, used to fine Kittle $10 every single time that he ran out of bounds instead of taking on a tackler. And obviously Kittle heeded that message very well, because now George Kittle hates running out of bounds just as much as his tight end coach used to hate how much he ran out of bounds. And so Kittle's willing to dish out contact. Samuel's willing to knock out mouth guards. Kyle Juszczyk loves contact. Jeff Wilson goes into a dark place. Even Brandon Ayuk has now, despite the fact he might not be as physical as some of these other 49ers ball carriers, he's slippery. And that slant that he took from Trey Lance and ran for 40 yards last week against Houston, he bounced off of a safety on his way downfield. I mean, all of these guys, I haven't even gotten to Elijah Mitchell, that kind of Louisiana farm tough, yards after the catch, yards after contact guy. All of these guys have that as a specialty. Combine that with the fact that all these 49ers receivers love to block. This is a game in which you want Jawan Jennings on your team. He pulled off his Tyler Durden Fight Club impression when he was, just taking that personal foul against Jacksonville earlier this year. Jawan Jennings is a guy that you love to have on your team, but you hate to play against. And I think the 49ers throughout the years here against the Rams, especially throughout this 5-game win streak, they've had a critical mass of these types of players who have brought the physical hurt to the Rams, a star-studded team, obviously, but one that hasn't really been ready to punch back at the 49ers in a way to win some of these football games. Hence, the 49ers beat the Rams, even with Nick Mullins at quarterback. Well, it's the Rams' chance to rebut in this game. And we know they have tough, strong, professional players too. And they might be sick of what the 49ers have done to them over the past 5 games. So this might turn around on Sunday. In Vegas, they think it's going to turn around because last I saw, the Rams were the favorite. But maybe a lot of that's because of the 49ers' uncertainty at the quarterback situation. But the point is, the 49ers have demonstrated the ability to be tougher than this football team. And if they could suck it up, circle the wagons, and do that one more time on Sunday, then the 49ers will certainly be in the playoffs, because I think that they can win this game. My prediction unofficially is 49ers 31, Rams 30. I wrote that somehow, some way, the 49ers will find a way to get this done, because I don't think that football's played, in a box score on a spreadsheet. Those are tools that help us analyze the game, but I think ultimately it's played on the field. And there's something about the game actually being played and the bruises and the blood and the sweat being shed, when the 49ers play the Rams, that's bounced in the 49ers' favor. But it does come back to that quarterback situation, and if the 49ers can handle it right, because that's the glue for so many different things. And Kyle Shanahan has not given us any indication as to which way that will go. All right, we're going to take a look at some questions, go through some of these. And, I like this one from David Robbins. Reminds me of the 1981 49er team. A lot. Hacksaw Reynolds, Fred Dean, all those guys bringing the pain. Yeah, the 49ers have tried to zag while the league is zigging. The league has gotten softer over the years. It's not as easy to play as physically now, given the rules, right? But also guys have gotten faster around the league. Speed is much more of an emphasis. And the 49ers have tried to keep the speed, but they've tried to up the physicality. That's the Shanahan system, right? Yards after the catch, running at volume. Maybe that's an explainer of why the 49ers seem to get injured at such a high rate, because they've tried to keep the speed while administering the physicality. It means that you have more mini car accidents happening on the field. But it's also what got to the 49ers to the Super Bowl in 2019. And I think what has been their bread and butter when they've played well here in 2021. It's certainly been one of the reasons why they won 5 straight over the Rams. So the 49ers calling card is physicality. They're one of the most physical teams in the league. Whether or not that's correlated with their high injury rate, well, at this point, you can't really care. At this point, you just have to circle the wagons and find a way to win on Sunday. All right, I am looking through the comments and I'm looking for actual question marks because there's so many of them, so I could answer this. I didn't state who I think is starting at quarterback. I have a feeling that we're going to see both of these guys. So I don't even know if it really matters who starts at the end of the day. I mean, I think that Shanahan, if Garoppolo's healthy enough, we'll have him start, but I think it's going to be a shorter leash. And I think that he's seen what Trey Lance can do. He's seen the development, and there is a spot for Trey Lance. I've been saying it all season. I've thought there was a spot for Trey Lance to contribute, but they've been taking their time. They've been developing him, and maybe that's been the right approach for the 49ers. But I really think the option power that they've built up over the course of the season, this is do or die. This is all hands on deck. This is game 7, game 18, if you will, in NFL. Game 17, I guess. Game 7, yeah, that's a good ring to it. I like that. Game 17 instead of game 7. Anyway, all hands on deck. Johnny Holstaff, all quarterbacks ready to go. I do think that Shanahan, with a compromised veteran and Jimmy Garoppolo with the injury, should go with the both of them. But hell if I know, Shanahan's been playing Jedi mind tricks on everybody with this whole week. All right, let's see some more questions. I'm just kind of scrolling up. Yeah, you guys weren't really asking too much. Somebody asked if Jimmy started. Somebody put it. Will Debo play as a decoy this week? Well, I would hope not if you're the 49ers fan. I would hope that Debo has the ball in his hand, ready to run over Aaron Donald. Who's that? You guys remember that? So Debo wasn't happy about that this week. That happened last year when Aaron Donald pretended that he didn't know who Debo was. And George Kittle was upset. He thought that was disrespectful. Debo, he might go to a different gear when he plays the Rams. That might not have been a good idea to disrespect Debo Samuel when Aaron Donald did that last season. That was after the October win last season. Somebody put question in all caps there right here. You were the first writer I noticed this week to predict Kyle would return to his 2 QB game plan. Now others have predicted it too. When did you first connect the dots? I mean, the whole thing, like when I predicted the 49ers would draft Trey Lance, I didn't think hard about it back in March. Or when I thought they should draft him in January, I didn't think hard about it. I didn't think hard about it in March. I didn't think hard about Garoppolo being the starter. And I didn't think hard about them using 2 quarterbacks. These things just seem obvious. I don't want to give myself credit for thinking something before other people. I do think there's a lot of unnecessary overthinking out there. Maybe social media is a breeding ground for that because people start doubting their own takes and they see this echo chamber. But I just follow the trail of logic. And the trail of logic said the 49ers had a good starting veteran quarterback under a relatively affordable deal in Jimmy Garoppolo. But he was prone to injury, so they wanted – and Kyle Shanahan wanted mobility. So in the offseason, I figured, okay, you go get the guy that has a very high ceiling. He might be raw, but you grab him and he could take this all the way to the promised land for you in several years, but you keep Jimmy Garoppolo. So that made sense to me. And then you start Jimmy Garoppolo because you don't start a guy that had limited experience at the FCS level. So that made sense to me too. And now, I've seen the season evolve. I've seen that Trey Lance has gotten better. I know that Jimmy Garoppolo's hurt, and I put 2 and 2 together, and I think there's a chance that both of them play. Besides, Kyle's been so coy about this all. So that leads me to believe that he's got something up his sleeve. But at the end of the day, I will also say that I don't know for sure. I'm just using logic as we go from situation to situation. So, yes, this has a playoff feel to it. This is essentially must win for both teams to answer that question. Oh, yeah. I mean, I just answered this when you just asked it again. I think Hufanga is going to play. That would be really nice for the 49ers if he did as that third safety. They were never planning to get rid of Garoppolo because you don't just pay $25 million just because you can't trade somebody. I guarantee you there would have been a market for Garoppolo. There's a market for Carson Wentz, and he was coming off terrible years, and he's not playing that well in Indianapolis this year. There would have been a market for Garoppolo, but the biggest market as far as an appeal for the 49ers would have been to get rid of that salary. They're willing to pay Garoppolo that salary, and you saw why. You saw Trey Lance in week 5. He wasn't ready. That was obvious. You saw Trey Lance against Houston. Even that was a little sketchier, but that was against Houston when he did better in the second half. I think he's made tremendous progress. I think Trey Lance is the future, but in no realistic situation was Trey Lance ready for this 2021 season to be the starter of a playoff-bound team. It just wasn't the case. That was a fantasy in a lot of people's heads. The 49ers were planning to keep Jimmy Garoppolo all along. And, now that it might pay off, the fact they've got both these guys, they have option power in the quarterback room. They're more or less insulated there. Let's see if it helps them beat the Rams and get into the playoffs. All right. This is all good stuff. Maybe I'll just do a separate Q&A session so I can get to a lot of your questions, because we've been going for 40 minutes. That's a good length for a game preview. I've got to roll. Thank you guys. Subscribe to here. Subscribe to The Athletic. Game preview is going to be posted in the comments section. And I'll talk to you either tonight or from LA or wherever. But if you subscribe, you'll know when I come live. And that will be that. 49ers Rams. I'm pumped up. Hope you are too. Everybody take